Hi there. Hope you guys are doing really, really well. My name is Brian. I am your queer psychic bestie, and I have a reading for you guys today. This is just going to be an all signs reading. This is not for any specific sign. This is just if this reading comes across your path, it may resonate for you. As always, we'll take what resonates and leave what does not. This is the internet. Okay. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do that through email or form submission on my website. All right, let's get into this. So I was told to use the Gentle Heart Tarot today. That is this pink tarot you see right here. So I'm going to also try and deliver this message a little bit more soft-spoken, a little bit more, because I'm really being guided to just be very gentle today. So take that what you will. Let's get into this. Bottom of the deck is your challenge, represents what you're not seeing, what you're not looking at. We've got the Emperor, we've got the Queen of Crystals, and we've also got the Tower. What I think is really interesting off the bat here in your challenge is that some of you guys are struggling specifically in stepping into a more healthy masculine energy. Okay, with the Emperor coming out, that is the father of the tarot. This could be talking about the father wound. That's what we could be talking about today. I feel like that's what we are talking about today. With that Queen of Wands, I feel like I'm connecting with a very strong divine feminine collective here, but it feels like as you're stepping into a more masculine role, it feels like some of you guys are struggling to really reconcile masculinity away from the masculine care. I almost said, I went to go say parent and caregiver, and then I said parent. Um, Parent, guardian, as always, the Emperor. Not everyone is raised by a man. The gender and energy have no place here. This could easily be like I was raised by two women. When we talk about the father wound, we don't talk about the wound caused all the time by a man. We talk about the wound of the masculine, the divine masculine, so it feels like for a lot of you guys here, your own interpretations of masculinity come from not a great example of what masculinity could be or should be. And it feels like a lot of you guys are working on, it's almost like stepping out of this person's boots and stepping into your own sort of boots here. So let's talk about it. You start with the Ace of Crystals and the Knight of Swords. So what I think is also kind of a little bit of a struggle for you guys here is that for a lot of you guys, it's like you wind up, this is a rough one. You wind up dating the more toxic version of masculinity that you are trying really hard not to become, or trying really hard to distance from, and I feel like some of you guys here are working really hard to understand what masculinity means to you and how you can access it and how can I do that in a healthy way. And yet at the same time, we're sort of attracted to this more, I almost want to call it like menacing form of masculinity. I feel like some of you guys you could have had a parent here that was remember parent guardian that was maybe a little bit more aggressive in their parenting style, and so it feels like you sort of associate that aggressiveness with the wound, and with like, oh, this is what I want. You've got the Knight of Cups and the Empress coming out, so it feels like some of you guys also watched your parents kind of interact like this. With the Empress coming out, the Emperor, Empress, this is the divine masculine, divine feminine. Like I said, it does not matter. Gender doesn't matter here, right? We're raised by parents that normally embody one stronger than the other. And so it feels like for a lot of you guys, you're in this place of, why do I keep finding my way back to people like this? Why do I keep meandering into these realms where I don't really want to be? With that Knight of Cups, I think it is also worth looking at how much of this behavior is learned. If you had a parent that was more aggressive and then a parent that was more passive, and you learned from the passive parent that this is just how love is supposed to look like, that's going to cause all sorts of problems within you, digesting it as a child and then trying to use it as an adult, right? So it feels like for a lot of you guys here, you're kind of in this place of, I want to do better and I want to be better. Fool. I love that. You know, I think a lot of you guys are sort of just also kind of just trying it. You know, the Fool is like a leap of faith, you know, but the Fool is also that part of us that's like, well, what's the worst thing that can happen here? I try and it doesn't work out. Okay, I tried again. You know, I feel like some of you guys need to handle yourself a little bit more kindness right now, a little bit more grace right now, because you're traversing waters that are unsettling for you. They're uncomfortable for you. And I feel like you're looking for, I feel like I'm connected to a collective that really wants quick results. And I feel like what you need to understand about your healing journey is that it is long and it is arduous. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can't let that deter you from trying, deter you from going out and taking a crack at it and then taking a crack at it again. You know, you can't let it remove you from progress, okay? Because in your next two cards here, you've got the Seven of Cups and the Six of Crystals, which is the Six of Wands in this deck. So it also kind of feels like you guys are hitting a wall right now a little bit. I feel like, you know, it's almost this sensation of, okay, well, I've tried it. I've exhausted it. You know, I did that and I tried that self-help book and I read and I listened to the podcast. I watched the YouTube video. I did all of it. Why aren't I victorious yet? And the way my guides are saying this to me is there's a very big difference between experiencing the emotions and then moving through the emotions. I think a lot of you guys have been really focused on moving through them because it's too painful to sit in them. But in order to genuinely actually process it and move through it, you have to feel it. What did I tell you? Nine of Swords. You know, you guys are like in this place of, well, no, that's too painful. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to talk about that. Babe, I get it. Okay? Your girl is in therapy, and I have a therapist that she chucks boulders at me, okay? She's like, okay, let's talk about this really horrible thing, and then you're going to think about it for the next week. That's rough, okay? I feel like a lot of you guys need a little bit of that right now. You need to know that there is a really big difference here between intellectualizing a feeling and actually feeling it, okay? Yeah, Ace of Cups and Death. I feel like a lot of you guys are also experiencing a shift in not only your perspective about love, but your perspective about self-love. You know, there's almost this feeling here of, why are my guides showing me a balloon? Balloons. Maybe you're celebrating something. Maybe it's your birthday. Happy birthday if it's your birthday. I don't know. I'm just seeing balloons. That's odd. Okay. You know, but when we talk about self-love here with the Ace of Cups and Death, my guides are also kind of bringing up the fact that you guys are learning how to disassemble self-love and really understand it down to its core. You know, let's say, for instance, let's use a car example. Like, I am not very knowledgeable with cars at all. So I'm kind of at the beck and call of people who are knowledgeable about cars. So I go in and I'm like, hey, it's making this weird sound. And they're like, okay, I got it. I'll fix it. When it comes to self-love, if self-love is cloudy, if there's all this trauma in between, standing in between you and genuine self-love, and you don't understand the trauma in between, how can you get rid of it? Because when we're talking about self-love, we can't go to someone else. I can't go to another person and be like, hey, can you tell me why I don't love myself? They don't know me. You know, even as a psychic medium, my job is sort of to give you a roadmap here to set you on path. But at the end of the day, I don't know specifically what happened to you. Only you do. You experienced it. Okay, so there's an understanding here. I'm hearing paradigm shift. You know, when we have a paradigm shift, it is truly core fundamental shift in understanding in the way that we are reacting to things, but also in the way that we are experiencing things, right? Yeah, Seven of Diamonds. Um, I think a lot of you guys also are recognizing that things have been the same for too long here. You know, I feel like this is a collective of you guys that are just exhausted. Exhausted by the road, by the walk, by what's going on here, and I don't blame you. I feel exhausted in your energy. It's probably why I'm being told to be a little quiet, be a little soft with you guys today. Um, you know, but I also hold on. Say it again. This is such a harsh advice to give. This is why I stopped and I was like, wait, I asked my guide to give it to me again. Um, Walk until you have blisters and then keep walking. That's it's rough advice, right? Because on the one hand, I understand what they're saying here. You know, the process of learning to love the self and learning to love and embrace a more masculine energy, feminine energy, balanced energy within the self. It is that sort of walk that gives us blisters. It does hurt. It is tedious. It is exhausting. But we have to keep going, right? I can't just sit there and be like, oh, well, there's this wall here that's keeping me from loving myself. Yeah, it is what it is. No, absolutely not. You know, with the King of Pentacles here and the Star, I think also some of you guys, how do I say that? It's like you think that there's an easy solution or like a monetary solution. King of Pentacles is very 3D world. So I think there's almost like a part of you guys that wishes you could just go out and, you know, buy yourself the teddy bear or buy yourself the Barbie and fix it. You know, if you're embracing masculinity and you're like, cars are masculine, let me go out and buy myself a fake car, one of those toy cars, and then you do it and then it doesn't fix it. You're kind of like, oh, well, now what? Yeah, Two of Pentacles. Now what? I think a lot of you guys are also reading. Maybe you're reading more. You know, I think you're also realizing that happiness isn't tangible. Self-love isn't tangible. Feelings aren't tangible. I can't like physically touch it like I'm touching these cards. And with the Nine of Diamonds here, crystals, excuse me, Nine of Crystals, not Nine of Diamonds. I think that also you're recognizing that a spiritual and emotional problem, you're not going to have a physical solution. This is not going to be like, okay, I go and I get myself the toy train, the toy car, the model, whatever it is, and everything goes away. Five of Swords. You're realizing that's self-sabotage. You know, anytime you try to feed yourself with something that isn't the thing that you're craving, you're still craving it. You're still hungry. You're still not satisfied. Okay? And I feel like this is so funny how with the example my guides want me to give. I really this scene, it's from Twilight. Please don't cancel me. The scene in Twilight where Edward is talking about vampires living off animal blood and he relates it to living off tofu. It keeps you strong but never quite satisfied. I'm being told to give you that example here because that's kind of what you guys are doing, right? You know, if you're feeding yourself something that's not what you're craving, you're always going to keep craving it, right? With that Queen of Swords, I think you guys also need to stop, like, not need to stop, but you're kind of wishing you could logic this all the way, Knight of Wands. I feel like you're kind of wishing that you could just logic your way out of this, use my mind, get myself out of this, and that's just, like, not how this is going to go. I mean, literally, you have the Emperor again, and you have the Ten of Cups here. You know, at the end of the day, babe, you're not going to figure out what makes you happy unless first removing what's making you unhappy. So like I said, that wall that you guys have, it's like the trauma wall before knowing yourself, that little thing right there that's like gatekeeping yourself from yourself. Until you get rid of that trauma wall, you're always going to draw blanks. You're always not going to know. Okay, so right now It feels like the best thing you guys could do for yourself as you're trying to find your way into a more masculine identity, into a more comfortable masculine energy, is focus on the wall that's keeping you away from you. What's there that's keeping you disconnected from your true self? All right, let's get you an oracle card. This is the Angelarium. It is my favorite oracle deck ever. I use it all the time. It's a reimagining of the Falling of the Angels. So let's see what they have for you. What do you guys have for this collective? Thank you. Interesting. You guys have the King, Samyaza. This is also his persona after the fall, which I think is also worth mentioning for you. This deck is split into their personas before they fell and then after they fell. The King is Samyaza after his fall. And he is number 81 for those of you into numerology. Okay. It may be time to rebel against weakness. A chance to grasp at new fortune is not to be ignored. The only question is whether you are willing to grasp what is available to you. Failing to do so will not benefit anyone, so don't recoil at the chance to take power. Interesting. Interesting. Some of you guys, I think this goes to speak to the fact that you want to be more masculine, but you're kind of scared of it. You know, like I said, you have this... The role model of masculinity for you was not very positive, not a really good one. So you have this sort of like warped idea of masculinity. Understand that yours will be different. Yours will be more advanced, more forward. And don't put it off just because you're a little afraid of it. Okay. Guys, this is the reading I have for you guys today. I'm going to leave it there for you. As always, if this reading resonates with you, or if my reading style resonates with you, do consider liking and subscribing. We are on the road to 200 subscribers. If you guys would like to, interact with me, I almost said navigate, interact with me on a live basis. I do go live 3 days a week on Twitch. So you can find me Wednesday and Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. EST, as well as Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. EST. And there is also a Discord server if you would like to join that. We have a wonderful community of people. Very supportive, very uplifting. Drop in the comments if you want the Discord link. One of us will post it. Or drop by the stream tonight. It is Wednesday. There is a stream in I think 30-ish minutes. Drop by the stream. The mods are always dropping the Discord link in the chat. You can find it there as well. Okay. I hope you guys have a fabulous day, night, evening, weekend, wherever you are in the world. I hope to see you on Twitch, and I'll catch you in the next video. Okay. Bye.